Here are the most expensive dimes sold at public auction during 2024. First up is a Roosevelt dime from 1968, more specifically a proof coin that is actually missing the customary S mint mark that should be present, as all proof coins were minted at San Francisco during this year. Today, around 20 to 30 of these coins are known to exist, making it second only in rarity to the 1975 no S proof dime. This example of which was graded by PCGS as Proof 69 Cameo and sold at auction by Heritage in January for $40,800. 1892 was the first year of issue for the Barber's silver coins, a novelty not entirely lost on most people at the time, as a good quantity of these coins were kept as souvenirs for this exact reason. In fact, the issue has the largest proof mintage for the series at 1,245 coins, as the mint was selling the coins directly to the public, a significant swath of which were not collectors as such, and thus the coins were not necessarily handled with sufficient care. The same, however, could not be said for the present example, which is preserved in a grade of MS68 from PCGS, and at auction in May attained the price of $43,200 from Heritage. The 1797 draped bust dime had a mintage of 25,261 coins, although that was distributed across two major design varieties for the date, the 13 and 16 stars version, referring to the amount of stars that were placed on the obverse of the coin, with the 16 stars alluding to the fact that Tennessee had become the 16th state to be admitted to the Union in that year. This 16 stars example was graded by PCGS as MS62, and in November it was sold by Heritage for $45,600. The 1796 draped bust dime was the first regular issue dime to be produced by the US Mint, and one of only 2 years to feature the small eagle reverse type as well. Of that original mintage of 22,135 coins, it is estimated that today 800 to 1,200 coins remain surviving. Of those, this is a stunning mint state example graded by PCGS as MS61 and was sold by Stack's Bowers in August for $48,000. The small eagle reverse was then soon replaced by the heraldic eagle reverse on most US coins, including the draped bust dime as well. This 1807 example is not only the last year that the design would be minted, but is also the largest single-year mintage at 165,000 coins. The current example is a stunning survivor at a grade of MS66+ from PCGS and was sold at auction by Great Collections in January for $54,562. Moving ahead to the capped bust design, which was used from 1809 all the way to 1837, though there were gaps where the denomination simply was not minted in every single year. Here we have a proof example of an 1835 capped bust dime. The original mintage for this proof issue is not known, though it is estimated that around a dozen or so coins survive today in all grades. This example attained the grade of proof 64 from PCGS and was sold in August by Heritage for the sum of $55,200. Minting of the 1916 Mercury dime did not get underway at the Denver Mint until November of that same year, only to be suspended shortly afterwards in order to fill an urgent need for quarters in circulation. As a result, only 264,000 coins were ever minted for this first year of issue coin at the Denver Mint, most of which then also ended up in circulation as well. So finding a mint state coin like this, MS65 full bands coin from PCGS, it's not an everyday occurrence. So when Heritage sold this coin in November, it was able to secure a final price of $66,000. And just like that, when you thought we've re-entered the 20th century, we head all the way back to 1802 to find this draped bust dime, which is a rather rare issue overall, with an initial mintage of 10,975 coins. Today, it has been estimated that around 175 to 225 coins managed to survive. This example is one of the finest known at a grade of MS62 from PCGS. It used to form a part of the Pittman and Gardner collections and was sold by Stack's Bowers in August for $96,000. The 1804 draped bust dime saw a mintage of 8,265 coins, a considerable drop from the preceding year of 33,000 and an even more stark contrast to the year that was to follow, which saw a mintage of over 120,000 coins. This coin is also a rare variety that displays 14 stars above the eagle's head on the reverse, instead of the customary 13. There's an interesting story attached to that actually, but that falls way outside the purview of this presentation, so perhaps on another day. Graded as a U53, it was sold for $84,000 in August by Stack's Bowers. The 1822 cap bust dime is without a doubt the key issue for the series. Even though the 1809 and 1811 both have lower mintage figures, this coin is far scarcer to locate today, with a much lower survival rate of around 300 coins or so, out of an original mintage of 100,000. The coin was graded as MS66 by PCGS and stands as the finest certified example known. It was sold in August by Stack's Bowers for $90,000. Now, we find one of, if not in fact the most well-known overdate variety available, in the form of the 1942 over 1 Mercury dime. This is an extremely sought-after Red Book listed variety where the overdate is extremely clear, and there is also some additional doubling to be seen on the letters of "In God We Trust." Here we have a coin that is tied for the finest known at a grade of MS66 with full bands from PCGS that was sold at auction in May by Heritage for the sum of $102,000. In 1873, the weight of the dime was increased ever so slightly to an even 2.5 grams. To indicate the change, there were 2 arrowheads placed on either side of the date, leading to the now arrows and no arrows coins. The 1874 Carson City seated Liberty dime is a notable rarity, with its small mintage of 10,817 coins at the time. Today, only 40 to 60 coins are thought to have survived in all grades. This AU55 example of which was sold at auction by Heritage in August for the sum of $102,000. The 1919 Mercury dime from the San Francisco Mint remains, despite a fairly substantive mintage of more than 8 million coins, today a challenging coin to obtain in mint state grades, let alone a top gem level grade, leaving a piece like this, with a grade of MS66 with full bands, to be a prime candidate for a competitive registry set. And in May, Heritage facilitated just such a sale at a price of $132,000. The 1821 cap bust proof dime is an exceptionally rare coin, with 6 coins that can be confirmed to exist. And even within that rare issue, 2 varieties can be noted, a large and a small date type, with 4 large date and 2 small date coins known to exist. Here we have an example of the large date coin, the finest known in fact, at a grade of proof 65 from NGC, which allowed Heritage to sell this coin at auction in August for the sum of $204,000. And then for the star of the show, and the most expensive nickel to have sold at public auction in 2024. This coin is tangentially connected to the first coin on the list, in that it is, in fact, another no-S proof dime, but this time it is the fabled 1975 no-S proof dime, of which only 2 examples have ever come to light, of which this coin has a grade of proof 67 from PCGS, and when it was sold at auction by Great Collections in October, it managed to secure a final price of $506,250. Subscribe to WNN and feel free to watch a video about the top nickels that were sold at auction during 2024 next, right here. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching, keep collecting, and have a fantastic day.